All right, we need to talk about something very important that I've never touched on regarding MrBeast. You know, we've talked a lot about the situations that he's been involved in, some of the controversy, the accusations, all this sort of stuff, but I want to specifically focus on his crypto dealings. And I want to explain this in a way that I think a lot of people who don't know anything about crypto can try to follow along, because I think this stuff specifically is really a big indictment of him, and no one is talking about it, I think, specifically because it's hard to follow. A lot of like words, oh, the wallet, the chain, the coin, and it's too much for people, right? So I'm going to try to explain what I found to be some kind of concerning activity with MrBeast in a very simple way, a way that if you know nothing, literally nothing about crypto, you can try to follow along on this, okay? So recently, MrBeast did an interview with Oompaville, which I might cover some of the other stuff that MrBeast responded to with Oompaville, but they did this interview, and at the very end of it, Oompa decided to call MrBeast and basically say, hey, I didn't ask you all the questions I wanted to ask you. I got a few more for you, and they were mostly pertaining to his crypto dealings, his activity, right?
Okay, so now a little bit more on the crypto stuff. I know I talked about CoffeeZilla a little bit yesterday. Okay, so first one is Wu-Tang. You have said that you do not control the Wu-Tang wallet. You said that last night. You said that a friend did it. You said you didn't know what Wu-Tang was.
A fund did it, yes, not a friend.
Right. Okay, a fund, okay. On a podcast with Logan Paul about CryptoPunks, you talk about a call you had with Mr. Gary where you claim to have bought and or sold CryptoPunks, but then later decided to roll the money into VFriends. And this is all like video, obviously. And this trading activity all happened within the Wu-Tang wallet, which we talked about last night.
Yes.
So if it was your decision, you know, if semantically, if what you're talking about on the podcast, if it was your decision, your trading decision to buy and sell the punks or VFriends, even though you didn't press the buttons, was it actually your decision? Did you press the button? Did you not press the button? Was it your decision? And if it was your decision, and even if you didn't press the button, it still, to me, would mean that you had control of those trading decisions.
Yeah, these are good questions. Actually, I'm glad we're doing this follow-up thing so we can also just put all this stuff out there. So, yes, I did say that in the podcast, and I obviously did not press the buttons, like I've been saying. I didn't pick what punks to buy or anything. Gary Vee, like I said on that podcast, called me and a bunch of other people, said CryptoPunks are the next big thing. I thought it was pretty crazy, but, you know, the first thing I did right after that is just called the guy in charge of the fund who invested my money and it's other people's money as well, and just said, hey, Gary Vee seemed very passionate about these punks. You should look into it. If it makes sense, buy it. And so, you know, he did the research, picked what punks to buy, bought them. I don't even truthfully know how to buy punks. I've never bought one, like me personally.
Okay.
Like I've said, I don't have access to that wallet. So, I mean, in other transparency, like that's kind of high level how it went. But, you know, if he was like, oh, this is a shit investment, then he wouldn't have bought them. So he was the one who was doing the buying and selling and managing things.
Okay. But you did make some decisions to buy or sell in the Wu-Tang fund.
Well, I mean, yeah, I just told him like, hey, Gary, like in transparency, Gary called me about CryptoPunks and said they were cool. Look into it. I mean, so at the end of the day, bro, I don't fucking know. Like, I don't know which punks to buy or which ones we should buy if it's a good investment. Like, that's why I, put the money in a fund and had professionals managing it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Now, these questions were not written by Oompaville. They were written by CoffeeZilla, and he was using Oompaville as sort of a proxy to MrBeast, which I already feel is kind of strange because Oompaville is not an investigator. CoffeeZilla is an investigator, and Coffee tried to reach out to MrBeast. He has a 7.1 million view video called literally Investigating MrBeast, which is almost as big as the 2 dog pack videos, which have completely started this entire MrBeast controversy. This video has 7.1 million views. No video by Oompaville talking about MrBeast has that many views, right? And so I don't know if we're just talking about views, which I know that views don't necessarily correlate to how entitled of an interview you are. Like if Rice Gum made a video shitting on MrBeast, it's like, well, it's fucking Rice Gum. But CoffeeZilla is a very serious influencer. He's talked about a lot of crypto scams. He's done thorough investigations. I think he's a credible source. And for MrBeast to not address him, as per CoffeeZilla's words, is strange in my opinion. So first things first is that MrBeast is tied to this fund that is making these financial plays on his behalf, but it's sort of unknown how actually locked into these decisions he was, because like earlier in 2021, he's saying explicitly like, hey, I decided to buy this CryptoPunk, this NFT. I sold this NFT, this and that.
So me and Logan both bought punks. You guys have probably seen on his Twitter that he bought a bunch of CryptoPunks at the same time, right?
Yep.
Gary pulled us in that call.
Yep.
So have you ever told that story?
No.
That Gary V, it's like fucking 11 p.m. just out of nowhere, just calls me and he's like, yo, I got like 30 people to call, hop in. I'm like, I don't care. He's like, it'll be the best decision of your life. Just get in. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I just joined the call and I just see like Logan and I don't even know these other people. I don't want to put them on blast.
Every heavy hitter you can imagine who's worth $1 billion was on this one call, and Gary V is in the little corner, the little square. He's going, CryptoPunks. It's gonna be huge. It's gonna be the next Facebook. Where all of us were like, okay,
Everyone's
Gary.
judging. I'm texting Logan.
He's
I'm like, Gary lost
is
his
this legit?
mind.
Bro, all of us were like, yo, Gary's nuts. Yo, Gary was right again.
I was just so pulled by his like conviction.
Yeah.
That I bought a bunch.
Wait.
Yeah, I bought quite a few.
How many?
I don't want to say, but
You have to
I,
say,
please.
bro, you have to.
I bought multiple ones.
But then now he's saying like, well, you know, it was my fund. They were making these calls. I had little to no influence on this. So it's sort of changing the narrative as to like how involved in these financial decisions he was, which, you know, again, like you can attribute this to he was lying then or he's lying now or whatever you want to do. But either way, it's shady that there's not a straight story in terms of how much influence he had over these financial decisions. But this matters a lot because specifically, I think there's 2, maybe 3 things I want to get into, starting off with the super token. So there was a pre-sale for this thing. MrBeast was in the pre-sale, got some of it, or his fund got some of it or something. Okay, he had money in this thing. It goes in the market and it's going up. His fund is selling. He tweets, he replies to this person who's saying like, hey, there's this great coin you can buy. And then he replies super to this tweet, signal boosting this tweet, basically saying, hey, there's this great position that you can have on the market while his team is selling, which basically, you know, whether his fund knew that he was tweeting this or not, which I personally doubt that they didn't know this. Like, you know, he's gonna make more money if they have these people who see MrBeast's tweet buy in and they're now his exit liquidity. It makes more money for him, you know? I kind of doubt that he didn't text the people at the fund like, yo, get ready to sell in 3, 2, 1, you know? I mean, he could have not done that, and I'm not alleging that, but I find it hard to believe.
You basically have to completely disbelieve what Jimmy says in 2021 to believe this story, where he got this call from Gary V and he calls Jason. He goes, if this fits within our trading strategy in the fund, maybe buy some. But you rewind a little bit. MrBeast is on Twitter saying, I bought this CryptoPunk. He's on the podcast saying, I bought multiple CryptoPunks.
I bought a bunch.
He's on the podcast saying, I sold.
I've already sold quite a few of them.
I rolled the money into VFriends.
So then I rolled the money into VFriends.
And then even more crazy, he says he specifically bought certain CryptoPunks because he liked their attribute, like the cigarette one. He's like, I like the cigarette CryptoPunk.
The cigarettes, because I thought that was an interesting attribute.
But here he's saying, oh, I didn't even know which ones to buy.
I don't know which punks to buy or which ones we should buy if it's a good investment.
Like real special
Yeah,
ones.
I had some that like whatever 20-30x.
What's a
We bought a lot with like the cigarettes because I thought that was an interesting attribute.
Well, which is it? I feel like if he's telling the truth now, then he was just blatantly lying then. And if he was telling the truth then, he's blatantly lying now or just trying to distance himself from this. I feel like I understand why, because the more he was kind of directing Jason, obviously the worse all of this stuff looks. But I think it's impossible to get away from the fact that MrBeast in 2021 was clearly in some type of contact with this fund that was not normal. This is not a normal, I'm going to give my money to a financial advisor and I don't make any of the decisions. He clearly was directing some of the strategy.
He also, for some reason, underplays his own influence. Like, he is acting like no one would have possibly bought this thing based on my tweet, which is insane. If MrBeast replies to a token, the value of the token will go up. You're MrBeast. And then because of that, because the value will go up, it will go up. You know, it's going up because it's going up. This can happen in the markets where something goes up because it's going up or goes down because it's going down, right? With this whole super token thing, he's like very strangely trying to downplay his own involvement in it. Like, he's, when told by Oompaville, like, yeah, you made this tweet basically saying to buy super, he's like, well, first of all, I didn't say buy super. Second of all, I didn't make the tweet. I replied to someone. It's like, okay, well, replying to someone is still making a tweet. Second of all, the tweet is like, great position you could do on the market. And now he's saying, I never told anyone to buy it. It's like, you didn't, but if I told someone, like, here's how you can make $1 million, it's like, okay, well, I'm not telling you that you should do this, but you kind of are. You know what I'm saying here? If I'm telling someone, hey, you can do this thing and make you a lot of money, am I telling them to do it? No. But am I saying that it would have a positive impact for them if they did do it? Yes. I also think with MrBeast having the reputation that he had at the time of like this incredibly philanthropic person, people would probably suggest that he wouldn't stake his reputation on something like this. So he very meticulously interacted with this super token in a way to grant him maximum plausible deniability. So I don't know. All right, so now we got to talk about the MrBeast Team C's crypto situation. So MrBeast co-founded Team C's, which was a charity with Mark Rober in order to, it was a big project to clean up the oceans, rid the world of trash, get rid of the plastic straws, save the turtles, whatever, right? Now, to help raise money for this charity, a crypto company called Eternity, not easy to say, had created NFTs, remember those, that people could buy with the proceeds from the sales going to charity. But the NFT sales flopped, barely anyone bought them. Now, around the same time, MrBeast's investment fund, which again, we don't know how much actual control he had over the investment fund, which, you know, again, there's conflicting messages. He said at one point, he's like, yeah, I bought this. And now he's saying my fund, anyway, whatever, right? They had sold $2 million worth of earn tokens, which is the currency that Eternity uses. So if you were looking to purchase these NFTs to help the charity, you would have to have had earn tokens, which MrBeast was selling, deflating the value of the currency. Now, this sale happened while the charity campaign was still fresh in everybody's mind. It wasn't like, oh, the, you know, fucking NFT sale flopped, now we're going to sell earn tokens, whatever. The problem is that the token sale was close enough to the charity campaign that it looked like MrBeast's fund was profiting off the hype of Team C's.
He got into the pre-sale, and the Earn team also claims that he partnered with them for an NFT drop. Supposedly, it was a charity drop and a normal NFT drop. Now, the charity drop specifically did happen in association with one of MrBeast's projects, Team C's, saying, quote, all proceeds will go towards cleaning up the seas around the world. This was early November 2021. Then the official Team C's account posts it on November 3rd, 2021. Quote, what an awesome crypto collaboration in support of the team. Then the CEO of Eternity Chain, Nick Rose, confirms in Telegram that the drop is supported by MrBeast, saying Earn and ETH tokens will be accepted for the charity auction, which was slated to last 2 months. Now, the reason I'm sharing all of this is because 1 month into this 2-month charity auction on November 30th, 2021, the Rocket Fund or Beast Fund or whatever you want to call it starts selling huge amounts of this Earn token. Allegedly, they sold over $2 million, while the charity itself was still going on. Now, I know that sounds horrible. It looks horrible. It is horrible. Although I have to tell you, personally, I don't think this was a master plan to pump a coin with a charity auction. If it was the plan, it was a bad one because the NFT auction was ultimately a flop. But do I also think it doesn't matter because regardless of your intentions, selling tokens within a month of your 2-month charity auction is wrong, stupid, and unethical? Yes, I think that as well.
Now, people were also buying Earn tokens with either the intention to support the NFT or the charity, or because they expected the value of the token to rise because of either of those, only for the token's value to drop after MrBeast's fund sold, which, again, we don't know how much control he actually had over it. So in the worst possible interpretation of this, MrBeast literally made $2 million off of a fucking charity thing. Which, mind you, MrBeast was very much also downplaying how much his fund had sold, right? He was saying something along the lines of, yeah, we sold a little bit.
And then the final one, which this one's a lot more complicated and involves a lot of stuff. So I mean, maybe you would want to reconvene with like receipts or evidence or whatever. But it's the crypto charity stuff. Team C's Eternity.
Yeah.
So I mean,
that one. Eternity gave us NFTs to auction off for Team C's. Only one sold after like a day, I believe, and that was it. And then, yeah, it looks like the fund sold like 27 days later, a little bit of Eternity. It was not combined or planned or premeditated in any way.
It's $2 million. I mean, maybe to him that's a little bit, $2 mil. I think specifically too, I don't really hear people talking about this, is that people who would buy into a charity project are maybe people who wouldn't normally buy into an NFT project, right? These are people with maybe less money, but like better intentions or something like that. I mean, there's no way to prove this, but just a hunch. And these people got fucked. MrBeast claimed the token sales happened long after the charity stuff ended and downplayed the amount sold. But you know, the evidence shows that the sale happened while the campaign was still relevant, which is a big problem. And so even if this wasn't intentional, like if there was a miscommunication with him and the fund, or he didn't actually mean for the token to drop in value, or, you know, whatever, people definitely felt misled. Like, that's just not even up for debate. And so it's not even if MrBeast meant to do something wrong, it's just like what the actual thing that happened is. Now, anyway, with all this going down, I think it's safe to say that MrBeast should do an interview with CoffeeZilla, someone who can extemporaneously go into the little micro moving parts of crypto, and not just Oompaville, who is obviously not into it as much as CoffeeZilla is. And yeah, I mean, this, I would recommend watching the MrBeast response to crypto allegations by Voidzilla, CoffeeZilla's second channel, if you want more and someone who explains it, you know, more in detail. But yeah, I think this does look bad. I think it's not a good response from MrBeast to downplay all this stuff, like several different things, you know, his association with the fund, him promoting Super, what happened with Eternity, downplaying the amount sold. I mean, there's a bunch of different stuff here, and I'm going to link his video down below if you guys want to watch the rest of it. But yeah, with that all being said, hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, leave a like. If you didn't, leave a dislike, and I'll see you guys all next time. Peace.